Welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel for the first time this season. Joining you after a Miami Dolphins victory on Monday Night Football against the New York Jets. The Dolphins able to hold off a little late scare there, but they win 27-21 to get their first win of the season and improve to 1-3. I mean, it almost just feels like a relief. It is a little bit of a. It does have a little bit of an empty feeling because of what happened to Tyreek Hill. So you have that in the back of your mind as well. But certainly much needed, super necessary for the Dolphins to get it done. And, yes, they were not going against the most complete team in the world. This is a Jets team that, like the Dolphins, had plenty of times in their early season struggles. Had plenty of mistakes, but the Dolphins got it done today, man, and they got out into an incredible start. They finally got themselves a big time, huge defensive play to swing the momentum of games, and they to that point in the season they hadn't the entire time. They start off the game, get a couple of nice conversions, and we saw immediately what was going to be the theme of the day. And that was, hey, Darren Waller, who me, you, anybody that's probably not a close confidant or family member of the Waller family, all had probably given up on this thing being a thing. And right out of the gate, Miami Dolphins go to Darren Waller, and you're just like, okay, I guess he's going to do stuff here today. And it would be the start of really what was an epic comeback story for Darren Waller today. And we'll get to him in just a minute, but the Dolphins, yeah, they unveil that early. They close out their first drive. Riley Patterson boots one. He was elevated to the 53-man roster today. Boots one from 47 yards out, and the Dolphins go up 3-0. And then the Jets took the field. And you got this immediate, queasy feeling because we heard about violence this week. We heard about intensity. We heard about all the things that Anthony Weaver is trying to discuss into his team. And quite frankly, they looked very Swiss cheese-ish. I don't know if that's a term. In the early goings. But as the Jets were about to score, Jack Jones is able to lodge it free and get the Miami Dolphins the football back. Unbelievable. Braylon Allen yaks it up as he's about to go in the end zone. I hear the call on the radios. I'm waking my way back from game day uncensored today. I think they score a touchdown, and then I finally, when I get home, I'm like, what? It's all kind of happening in this weird thing where Jones pops it out. Minka is able to recover, and the Dolphins are able to get their first turnover of the season, and they would cash in big time. Really just a very impressive drive put together, 96 yards. The Dolphins would march down the field, and man, it was exciting to see. Tua was going to Tyreek Hill early and often today. Tyreek Hill was finding the sticks and was going to the Cheetah before his injury a lot. And, a couple of times for first downs. Achane just showing really nice bursts in this game. It was very, very impressive. And then on, I think it was 3rd and 10, man, Tua drops just a beautiful pass into the Penguin. Jalen Waddle getting the Dolphins just outside the red zone. They get down to 4th down, and you're like, all right, what are we going to do here? You're going to go for another field goal? Nope. Wheelbarrow Mike was back. Big Balls Mike was back. Mouse Balls Mike was back in the saddle. He was out of there. No way. I'm going to show my onions here. I'm going to show my cajones, and I'm going to go for it on 4th down. He does go for it. Tua throws it up into the back of the end zone, and a skyscraper back there. The Great Wall of Waller. Boom. Big pause. Gets the feet down. Touchdown to the tight end. And his story of redemption today was already written. The Dolphins jumped out to a 10-0 lead. And I was like, I can't believe this dude. He actually is out here and he is getting big time plays. This is absolutely crazy. Um, Dolphins were just, I mean, they got off to a feverish start. The Jets would get the ball back right away, and Terrell Dodson would then force a fumble on Justin Fields, who was either going to get sacked or yak up the football. He decides to do both of them. Jalen Phillips was there to recover, and the Dolphins got turnovers on back-to-back drives. You're like, oh my god, this is crazy. It was a nuts one. Now that drive kind of stalled out because Larry Borum had a holding, so the Dolphins weren't able to do much there. The Jets would close out. They would get a touchdown before the end of that. They would get a field goal, before the end of the half. But man, the Jets just, I mean, it was insane. Like all of the missed recoveries that they had in this game. I mean, just all over the place with just big blown play after big blown play. It was insane to see. The Jets started off with a fumble at the second half, and the Dolphins took advantage of that right off the bat. You're like, all right, here we go, golden opportunity sent right there, and this was where you were like, ugh, because we have the moment of the game that's going to affect the Dolphins for the rest of the season. And that was Tua goes to Tyreek Hill. He's like out of bounds. His leg looked ugly. Like the knee kind of got this, in a funky place. And it immediately looked bad. Everybody's rushing over there. He grabs it immediately. And it was one of those like immediately like, oh no. Like that's the comeback. They showed it and it was gross. Not a great look. Tyreek Hill gets carted off. He's like fired up as he's leaving. All of his teammates are there going for him. So, man, you appreciate the optics of Tyreek Hill trying to bring some emotion in that moment. But that looked ugly, man. I mean, I can't mince words. Like that looks like it's going to cost Tyreek some significant time. I don't know. And it's, this is the thing with him, man. Like I remember a couple of years ago, it was Cheetah don't get hurt. And now he's had some really unfortunate stuff that's caught up with him. And he was balling out this game too. I think that's the thing that really sucks is, it really looked like Tua and Tyreek had gotten their vibe on. Yeah, they weren't maybe necessarily connected on the deep stuff, but he was finding Tyreek. He was using Tyreek as an escape valve. And just kind of put a whole damper on it, man. It really, really did. So huge play for Tyreek. Achane would follow that up with some monster runs. Devon Achane, I mean, in a year that's really been horrific up until this week, he is just shined with his production. But Tua, 2nd and 6, finds Darren Waller wide ass open. He could have gone to either tight end. He could have gone to Julian Hill, who did have a catch today. But instead, he goes to Waller, and the Dolphins jumped out to a 17-3 lead in the fourth quarter. And you're just like, my God, I cannot believe what we're watching right now. Sure, look, the Jets were shooting themselves in the foot, and they were handing the game off to the Dolphins. I'm not here to say like the Dolphins weren't helped in some ways by the Jets' miscues and misfortunes, but shoo, welcome to the other foot, dude. Like that's how it's been for the Dolphins this entire start of the season. And to have a game where the Dolphins finally were able to flip the fortunes of the turnover battle and win it 3-0 was huge. It was absolutely huge for the Dolphins to get that done. Now, the Jets weren't dead. I mean, I give them credit. There was a moment where you're just like, all right, let's see how this rolls, because 4th and 1, Justin Fields, who was not having a great day up until this point, just pulls off some Houdini crap and is able to scamper his way like 40 plus yards for the field goal, and it makes it 17-10, like puts the Jets right back in the game. And you just think to yourself, all right, dude, like that's not fantastic. Like I didn't love that. They showed when they came back from that, Tyreek Hill being wheeled out. His whole leg is braced up. He was reportedly going to the hospital. Reports are that it was a dislocated knee. So not great. But we'll wish the best for Cheetah and hope that it's gonna be all right. But man, the Dolphins would come back this next drive, and they got a couple of things that went their way on this one. First of all, Tua, you know, does a beautiful fake to Devon Achane, pulls it back, finds Jalen Waddle for the first down. Tua, man, his, you know, you look at this, it's not the most impressive like game numbers wise. I don't think he cracked 200, but I thought Tua played a pretty damn efficient game. Um, if I'm sure we could quibble with like, hey, put it away, like if you wanted to be a real rat bastard about it. I'm trying to take the small victories, but he had some movements with like that reverse flip that he had to Malik Washington was sick as hell. He had some, I mean, the throws to Waller were sick. Found Jalen Waddle on some big conversions. So I thought Tua played a pretty damn solid game in this one. Understanding that the Jets certainly did not, help their own cause in this one. And they were mentioning on this drive, ESPN had mentioned that the Dolphins, I don't know if this was something that was said during the week. I was away this week, so maybe I missed it at a press conference, but I was assuming this was said in a production meeting, that the Dolphins had given Tua body language videos to like handle, I guess, his demeanor better, I'm assuming is what it was. And yeah, I mean that was certainly something. I will say from a body language standpoint, so it's 3rd and 8, and Tua starts scrambling, and he slides, and Kiko Maui, a former Miami Hurricane, blasts Tua in the head, and immediately I'm thinking to myself, oh no. I was like, oh no. And he pops up, has a smile on his face, completely, it was just like, fine, I'm good. Is he for real? I don't know, but he certainly was I think happy that he got the conversion, because unnecessary roughness penalty moves the Dolphins even more down. Ollie Gordon had a manly run. Then Tua found Jalen Waddle to move the sticks even more, and then boom, Devon Achane takes the pitch like Sonic the Hedgehog, dude. Right in there, puts the Dolphins back up 2 scores. Huge response to the Justin Fields touchdown. The Dolphins have their own touchdown drive. They're rolling. They're bringing this thing down. They're up 2 scores. The Jets get the ball back. And who decided to show up? Sealer it on up. Zach Sealer shows up, has a couple of big tackles for loss to kind of snuff out the old drive ski for the New York Jets. Dolphins then would stall out a little bit on their offensive production for the day. So there's still some things you could just like, mind you, they all of a sudden are throwing this dead fish of like, hey, no Cheetah for the rest of the game. So you got to give a little bit of grace to the Dolphins, like you're losing your most productive guy. But there was there was some craziness along the way. The Jets would not go away, to their credit. Really, as I think the Dolphins were sitting here like hoping, all right, this team's gonna eventually. Well, no, they didn't. I mean, they basically brought this thing down to the bitter end. They go and get a field goal to bring it to within 8. The Dolphins not able to do anything the next drive, so now it's within 11. The Jets would get it back, and you're sitting there, you're just like, all right, this is happening. Justin Fields was trying to go to Mason Taylor a little bit. They showed Jason Taylor wearing the Hall. Solid move by Jason Taylor. I don't know if they had like a thing or anything, but wearing the Hall of Fame jacket as opposed to Jets gear that's a heady move by the Dolphins Hall of Famer. So I don't know how much he busts out the gold jacket, but he did today. If there was some ceremony, excuse my ignorance on it, but that was something. So Dolphins are able to hold the fort there, and then they try going to they really lean on Devon Achane a lot. It ends at the Dolphins being able to the Dolphins get a couple of big runs by Devon Achane. They give it to him a third time. He nearly yaks it up. Patrick Paul's able to recover it, and you're just like, yeesh. Tua then finds Julian Hill. He motors down for about 19 yards. And the drive ends up stalling out. Riley Patterson hits a field goal, puts the Dolphins back up 14. And you're like, all right, let's see what's going on here. Time is of the essence. The Jets get it back. And the Jets are able to get a touchdown. Justin Fields find Garrett Wilson for a sick individual effort by Garrett Wilson. This guy feels like anytime he's on primetime games is going to come up with one of the greater catches you've seen in a long time. But there wasn't much time left. They did convert on the 2-point conversion, got very aggressive too on that throw. You probably think if you're Anthony Weaver, like maybe too much violence. Justin Fields ends up getting the 2-point conversion and makes it 27-21, 6-point game. Onside kick. Who's there on the hands team? You guessed it, Darren Waller. And when I say you guessed it, I mean none of us guessed it. Darren Waller, a 2-touchdown game, recovers the onside kick. He had, man, as good a debut as you could have written it. Really, really great job by him. And props to him for keeping headstrong through all this stuff, because I know I am one of many who did not have a lot of faith that this was going to happen, but he did. So props to Darren Waller for making it happen. The Dolphins were able to they didn't do much that final drive. They just punted it. Jake Bailey's able to pin it in the 2. Nice little play by Elijah Campbell to down it. And then the Jets, they tried some trickery, but it was snuffed out. Illegal forward pass, whatnot. There was like a little scuffle. Something like McDaniel got there. Like, no. So never seen him move so fast. But all in all, the Dolphins were able to get the victory, 27-21. Looking at some of the final numbers here, the Dolphins in this game would go. Yeah, total yards. The Jets ended up finishing with more total yards today, 404 to 300 for the Dolphins. The time of possession, about even, about 30 minutes apiece for both these teams. But the big one that obviously stands out, turnovers for the New York Jets, 3, Dolphins 0. Penalties, Jets 13 penalties for 101 yards, Dolphins 6 penalties for 40 yards. So that was definitely noticeable. The Dolphins today, they rushed it for 123. The Jets rushed it for nearly 200. And, they outgained the Dolphins by about 100 yards today. Third down for the Dolphins, 4 of 12. For the Jets, 4 of 9. The Dolphins on fourth down, the Jets, were 1 of 2. The Dolphins 1 of 1. It was obviously a huge one. It was the first touchdown of the game. So that was also very, very big time plays, and especially early on for the Miami Dolphins. Tua's final numbers today, 17 of 25, 177 yards. He had 2 touchdowns, no picks, wasn't sacked today. Devon Achane, 20 carries, 99 yards. He did cross the threshold. He did have 1 catch for 2 yards, so he was over a century, and a touchdown for him today. 5 yards a carry for Devon Achane. Very, very impressive. And Tyreek Hill, 6 catches, 67 yards, but obviously they are going to lose him for the foreseeable future, which is a huge, huge bummer. Justin Fields, he threw for 226 yards and a touchdown. He ran for 81 yards and a touchdown. But alas, the Jets' miscues were too much to overcome. And the Dolphins get their first win of the season. Much needed, like air to breathe. How the Dolphins overcome the loss of Cheetah is going to be tough. But look, man, this was such a much-needed win. He had banners again flying before the game. This one was clever. It was like a want ad, so I'll give props for creativity. Now the Dolphins set themselves up. They're going to Carolina. And they got Carolina, LA Chargers, the Browns, the Falcons, and then a very banged up, not great Ravens team. Could be in October where the Dolphins can right the ship. If the Dolphins can somehow right the ship, setting themselves up for that big time matchup against the Buffalo Bills. I mean, really, these next 4 weeks, if you can somehow, if you can go 3-1, that's kind of the goal, and you would get yourself to 4-4 going into the Ravens Bills games. I think that's kind of the goal you're searching for right now. I think that's the ideal place. In the great words of Rob the Degenerate, let's not count our chickens. But they needed this one to start any kind of a run. I mean, certainly going to Carolina, it feels like an opportunity for the Dolphins to liven up that record a little bit, and then we'll see what happens with that Chargers matchup in a couple of weeks. But yeah, if they didn't win this one, if somehow the Dolphins would have botched it, I just don't think there's any recovering from it. But they did. They obviously have now a huge obstacle to overcome in replacing Tyreek Hill, which is not going to be easy. He was huge today in the early goings for this game for the Miami Dolphins when they were really off and flying. You're going to need Jalen Waller to step up in a big way. Malik Washington. Can they continue to get this from Darren Waller? Is this Darren Waller stuff real? I'm going to hope it's real. I mean, I'm going to lean into like, hey, maybe this guy looks like he can actually be a threat. Certainly is a huge target that Tua found comfort in Jonnu Smith last year, so maybe he can. To have that kind of a rapport early on with Darren Waller was impressive. And Achane, I think Achane's having an awesome season. I mean, that's one guy that you really just had to be so pleased with. Jack Jones, too, continues to be electric these last couple of weeks. And you do need some. Look, the Dolphins are going to need some surprises along the way in this season if they were going to do anything. They haven't done anything, but this is certainly, this win feels like a great elixir for them. So good job by the Finns to get this one. And I got to say, I thought the uniforms looked sick as hell. They're not blue. I'm not going to sit here and be lied to, but I thought they were badass. I thought that the rivalry uniforms looked really great. I will close here today with some words from the great Larry Zonka, who is my favorite follow on Dolphins Twitter. Larry Zonka tweeted today, "Congrats Finns and Finns fans. Dolphin emoji, hashtag NYJ versus MIA, hashtag Fins up." Congrats to you, Zonk.